After Sopuruchi delivered the bouncing baby boy, she went back to the university to complete her education. Her mother then took up the responsibility of taking care of Sopuruchi's son. They made an agreement that Obiora would visit the child regularly, and he also visited Sopuruchi in school to see her sometimes. When Amanda left Obiora's house, she went to Sandra, her best friend. Sandra sympathized with her after hearing everything that transpired. After a while, they started to gist and talk about the way forward. Amaka was so confident and nonchalant. At the same time, they were laughing and talking. She was talking to Sandra as if she didn't just end her marriage few hours ago. She moved on so quickly. Amaka and Sandra started to use a hotel for their sexual fantasies. Meanwhile, Amaka and Sandra met at the university. They were both good friends. Amaka came from a very poor home, and her parents struggled to put her through school. By the time she reached the university level, Amaka's parents borrowed money. They took a loan to make sure that she goes to the university, come out and make them proud. While Sandra is the opposite of her friend, Amaka. She came from a very rich home, but she was really raised badly. She started to join bad gang while she was still in her secondary school. She joined bad gang and learned a lot of bad things there. Now that she's in university, Sandra still didn't lack anything, but she was really spoilt beyond repair. When she became friends with Amaka, she started to introduce Amaka to those behaviors one after the other. Smoking, drinking, partying, following men up and down. And Amaka on her own part, this isn't the part of life she ever lived. She had never lived that kind of life before. She came from a home where they managed to even feed 3 square meals. At the school, Sandra would invite Amaka over for parties. One day, Sandra invited Amaka to follow her to go to a night party. Amaka followed her. She trusted her blindly. At the end of the clubbing, they stood outside waiting for a cab to come pick them up so they could go home. A car pulled up, but there was a man older than them inside the car. The man offered them a ride. He told them he wanted to take them home. They both agreed and followed the man inside his car. On their way, the man proposed to them. He told them to follow him home and make him happy. That if they willingly do this, he's going to pay them 500,000 each for that night. Amaka refused instantly, saying she isn't interested in anything of such. But Sandra took the opportunity. The man said no, that he needs the two of them. If not, the deal is off. Sandra again convinced Amaka to say yes. After all, she needs the money more than her. After so many back and forth, Amaka agreed and they followed the man to his house. That night, the man demanded for some sexual fantasies from them. That is the two of them making up in front of him. Amaka shouted, God forbid. But as usual, Sandra and her sweet words came in between. The man even promised them that if they do whatever he asked, that he's going to give them 1 million naira each. Only if they participated. Out of curiosity and fear, Amaka demanded upfront payment. She told the man to pay her at least half of the money before they could start anything, to be sure that he's really going to give them the money, not afterwards. He wouldn't. Surprisingly, the man sent the full 1 million naira to her account and Sandra's account. Immediately, Amaka saw the credit alert. She switched to a total different person. She did all the things the man requested for that particular night. And after that night, they continued to come visit the man in his house, service him back to back. With time, they got addicted. If there is no man available, Sandra and Amaka would satisfy themselves by themselves. But when Amaka met Obiora, she and Sandra made a vow to live their lives despite getting married to anybody. Then, when Amaka met Obiora, she and Sandra made a vow never to depart from each other, and they will never allow a man to divide their relationship. Even if one of their husbands found out about their lifestyle, still they are not meant to break up any of their relationship. That was when Obiora found out about Amaka's lie. She walked away without a single fight. She went ahead to rent another place, continued to live her life, and still committed sin with Sandra. It got to the point that Amaka wanted Sandra's addiction back to back. But Sandra was deeply in love with her own husband, and she also have a son for him. Amaka started to get jealous that Sandra chose her husband over her. She saw how in love Sandra and her husband is, and it made her so envious of her friend. Amaka, seeing that Sandra doesn't take her family to play, including the fact that she kept on giving excuses upon excuses anytime she calls for them to meet up. The excuses kept on increasing, and Amaka thought of what to do. She started to get so jealous about her best friend's family. She swore that she would destroy Sandra's marriage. So she vowed that she would destroy Sandra's marriage, and this will make Sandra to have time for her. Amaka thought of what to do. An evil plan came to her head. She started to follow Sandra's husband up and down. She was always hiding so that the man won't see her. She started to follow him to know his whereabouts every blessed day. With this, Amaka became unnecessarily close to Sandra's husband. She even went as far as sleeping with Sandra's husband. And it continued. Sandra never noticed anything Amaka was doing towards her and her family. But she noticed her husband being away. His character changed towards her, and the way he treats her changed totally. Sandra decided to confide in Amaka. Amaka sympathized with her, but she still continued to sleep with her husband behind her back. Amaka even suggested to Sandra to leave her husband and focus on her life. But Sandra didn't do so. Rather, Sandra pushed Amaka away. She told Amaka to stay away from her and her family. Sandra told Amaka that she wants to focus in restoring her family that seems to be tearing apart. Amaka didn't even argue with her. She left and went back home. She was so angry. She thought of what to do so that Sandra's marriage would break up totally, which will make Sandra to come running to her. She thought of what to do, but no plan came to her head that day. As she sat there thinking, she remembered Obiora, her husband. Amaka got emotional and decided to pay Obiora a visit without even informing him that she would be coming to his house. The next day, Amaka dressed up and left to Obiora's house. When she got there, Ruchi opened the door for her and welcomed her inside. Amaka was shocked to see Ruchi. She was looking so different. She asked her what she was doing in her man's house. Ruchi became confused and asked Amaka if Obiora is the man that she's calling her man or another person, because the last time she remembered, the two of them are divorced. Amaka angrily wanted to slap Ruchi, but someone out of nowhere held her hand. It turns out to be Obiora, who was holding her hand and warned her not to ever in her life touch or even raise her hand on his woman, the mother of his child. Amaka was shocked. The mother of your child? She asked Obiora. Obiora then warned her again never to come to his house uninvited. He asked her what she's even doing in his house without even first calling him to tell him that she's coming. Amaka couldn't even open her mouth to say a word. She only begged Obiora that she still loves him and wants to get back to him. But Obiora made it clear that he doesn't want her anymore and don't want anything to do with her anymore. Obiora warned her never to return to his house again. He doesn't want anything to do with her. He then walked her out of his house. But Amaka didn't even back down. After getting humiliated by Obiora that day, and she was pushed away in such a manner, she came back the next day. But when she came, she met Ruchi again. Amaka pushed Ruchi away from the door and entered inside the house. She called out to Obiora's name, but Obiora wasn't even around that afternoon. It turns out it was only Sopuruchi and her baby that was at home that afternoon. Amaka then, seeing that there is no one at home to save Sopuruchi, she decided to take that opportunity to bully her and to scare her. But Amaka doesn't know that something will be coming her way. She started to yell on top of her voices. So, you think you can steal my man away from me and go scot-free? I will teach you a lesson today. Amaka threatened Sopuruchi, but Sopuruchi doesn't seem to be bothered. She was busy attending to her baby. When Amaka wanted to grab the child forcefully, Sopuruchi stopped her. Sopuruchi angrily slapped her so hard and gave her the beating of her life. Amaka didn't even know that Sopuruchi was that strong. Amaka tried all she could but couldn't even stop Sopuruchi. Sopuruchi outpowered her and beat her up like a child. Afterwards, Sopuruchi warned Amaka, no matter what she's doing in her life, she should never in her life touch her child or use her child as a play or pawn in her game. That if she ever tries it, her Sopuruchi will strangle her alive. Amaka was terrified. She wasn't expecting that level of strength from Sopuruchi, who always seemed to be naive and don't defend herself whenever she's yelling and barking like a dog. Amaka left Obiora's house in shame, anger. When she got home that day, she met Sandra standing outside her door crying. Amaka was surprised. She then asked her what happened and what she's doing at her house, considering the way Sandra treated her the last time she visited her at her home. Sandra narrated how she was kicked out of her husband's house by her husband. He even took away their only child from her. Sandra then begged Amaka for her to forgive her for the actions she displayed towards her the last time she came visiting at her home. She begged Amaka that she doesn't want to destroy her child's life. That was why she did what she did. She's doing everything for the child, but now even the child is not hers. Her husband forcefully took away her child from her. After pleading, Amaka quickly forgave her and they made up almost immediately. Afterwards, Amaka told Sandra about the beating she received from Sopuruchi, and Sandra was so shocked. But she did that. Sandra questioned, so that small Sopuruchi, she's this strong? Wow, I wasn't expecting this. Sandra then suggested to Amaka to do something drastic to Sopuruchi so she wouldn't mess up with her the next time. Sandra then brought out a plan on how they would tackle the matter. Amaka accepted the plan. She didn't even think twice. She has no choice according to her. The two of them planned something together. 1 month later, Sopuruchi went out to get something at the supermarket at night. She was looking terrified and was worried and anxious while walking on the streets that very evening. Some group of guys pulled over and kidnapped her. That evening, Obiora waited and waited for Sopuruchi to get back because she left in a hurry that very evening so to go and get drugs for their child. Obiora's patience run dry when he waited for hours and Sopuruchi was nowhere to be found. He made all the necessary calls, yet her number isn't going. He decided to rush their child to the hospital since the boy's condition was really getting worse. Afterwards, Obiora called Sopuruchi's mother to come look after the baby so that he would have the time to go out to look for Sopuruchi. He was really worried. Obiora first went to the police station and made a report. The police suggested he should wait at least after 24 hours before they will put anything down. But for now, he should try making calls and see if Sopuruchi went somewhere that he doesn't know. Obiora tried all he could to explain to the police officer that that was impossible because Sopuruchi actually went out that evening to go buy drugs at the pharmacy for their sick child and she disappeared. Her phone switched off. But the policeman didn't want to help. He excused Obiora and told him to wait for 24 hours. Obiora on his own part wasn't himself. He knew something was wrong. He had no choice than to call his lawyer friend DK and told him to come to the police station. Maybe him being a lawyer can help out in solving the causes of what is really going on because he's very confused. DK appeared at the police station few minutes later. Obiora narrated everything that happened yesterday night to DK, his friend. DK suggested that they go to the restaurant nearby and talk. Obiora accepted and they both left to the restaurant. When they got to the restaurant, as they sat down and started to talk, DK started to ask Obiora some questions regarding Sopuruchi. Did anyone threaten you as of recent? DK asked Obiora. Obiora replied no, that he can't remember having any issue with anybody or remember having any quarrel or anybody threatening him. DK then asked him if Sopuruchi has an enemy he knows or someone who is jealous or better still, best friend anywhere that could harm her. Obiora said no. The only thing he could remember is him. I am the only friend Sopuruchi has, apart from Somto. Somto obviously is not capable of doing that, Obiora said to DK, because Somto is not even in the country as they are speaking. Somto traveled 2 months ago to China to go buy goods for her business. Yes, Yes, Somto kept in contact with Sopruchi, but she's not even around to harm her or plan something evil like this. Obiora told DK that this was what Sopruchi told him regarding Somto because they are close, and Sopruchi used to tell him everything. Just then, Obiora remembered that Amaka came visiting few days ago. DK shouted, "Yes, I knew it. This is Amaka's doing." "Oh, that's your Lele wife. Oh, she can stoop low. In fact, she can stoop to any lowest. I know Amaka more than you do. This is her doing." DK told Obiora not to worry himself, that Sopruchi will be found. He has his ways and he knows the right thing to be done. He told Obiora to go look after his son, that as far as he's here, nothing would happen to Sopruchi, and Sopruchi will come out unharmed. DK boasted, but Obiora was still worried. He begged DK to do everything he could to make sure the love of his life is out of danger. DK hurriedly left Obiora at the restaurant that day. Meanwhile, Amaka and Sandra had planned to kidnap Sopruchi and kill her. They planned to remove her out of the way so that Amaka can have Obiora back, have her marriage back. Now they have successfully kidnapped Sopruchi. Sandra was so happy. First, she was so happy because her own plan worked. She didn't come to Amaka because her husband kicked her out of the home. She lied. She came to Amaka because she wanted revenge. She found out that Amaka was the reason why her family teared apart. Sandra found out that Amaka was sleeping with her husband, and she did all of this to pay her back. After Amaka accepted to do her bidding by kidnapping Sopruchi, Sandra went ahead behind Amaka's back to ask for ransom on Sopruchi's head. She wanted to collect the ransom, kill Sopruchi, and put the whole blame on Amaka. She contacted Obiora with a strange number, and she demanded for a ransom. Obiora, who is still working with DK, traced the number, and it turns out to be Amaka's number. They both planned how to give the fake ransom to Amaka, so they thought. When the D-Day arrived, Obiora, with the help of DK, dropped the ransom money where Sandra told him to do so. Then, DK's inner men traced their location and it was busted. Sopruchi was rescued with the help of DK's men. Amaka was arrested. She confessed what happened and how she planned everything with the help of Sandra, who the fake money was paid to. It was then Amaka knew of Sandra's betrayal. Sandra too was traced and arrested too. With enough proof and evidence, the two of them faced charges of kidnapping and so many years in jail. After Saporuchi was released, 2 years later, Saporuchi graduated and became a qualified medical doctor. Her love story with Obiora grew more stronger each day. One day, Obiora planned a surprise engagement party with the help of DK, but little did he know that he would be surprised too. When Saporuchi walked in and Obiora proposed, she wholeheartedly accepted the proposal. Then Saporuchi also surprised him when she brought out a pregnancy test strip, revealing that they are expecting their second child. Obiora was blown away. He was so happy. He was feeling like the luckiest man on earth. Few weeks later, Saporuchi and Obiora got married and they lived on happily ever after. Thank you guys. Thank you besties. This is the end of my story. Kindly share with your friends and family and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you have not, because more drama is coming this month and you will enjoy all of them one after the other. You can also buy coffee for Mona. The link is on the bio and on the description of the story. Guys, see you on the next one. Goodbye and God bless you.